day, my name is Dila Imibo, and thank you very much for stopping by. In today's video, I'll be talking about another export hack. We are hacking into iron ore. Iron ore. Iron ore. It's important for you to know that export hack covers over 85 products. And what we do here is to give you a snippet of what it contains. It's actually a 1-hour session talking about different things about that product so you can become a master in the export of that product. However, we're giving you a snippet here so you can have an idea of what you stand to benefit if it's a particular course, an online course you would like to get. Iron ore, the bedrock of steel industry, hold immense economic and historical significance. But navigating its intricate world, particularly export quality specification, can be daunting. There are different types of iron ore. We have the hematite, the most abundant, commercially valuable iron ore, contain iron content of 60 to 70%. We have the magnetite, another very crucial ore, rich in iron, 72%. You have the limonite, hydrated iron ore with lower iron content, 30 to 55%. Then you have the sadrite, iron carbonate, ore with moderate iron ore, 40 to 48%. For quality specification, the primary parameter expressed as percentage of iron. So the iron content is the primary parameter anybody is looking for. And of course, anybody buying want to buy as high as possible. You've seen the example I gave can be as high as 70%. It all depends on the kind of ore you are getting and where you are getting it from. Gauge minerals, impurities should be reduced as much as possible, like aluminum silica should be minimized. Moisture content, add to the weight. You need to reduce the moisture. In terms of weight and size, it has to be consistent. You can find iron ore in Kogi, you can find in Enugu, you can find in Niger, you can find in FCT in Nigeria. And these are the major locations in Nigeria where you can find iron ore. Its major use is 90% of iron is used in the production of steel. Iron ore trade in multi-billion-dollar industry impacting global economic activity and development. So what is the potential demand for iron ore in the world? And who are those buying? Do you know that the demand for iron ore in the world is over $220 billion? But what's interesting to me on that is that 66% of iron ore demand is from China. The closest to that is 6.87%. And that is from Japan. That's the closest. Like I said in one of the videos before, China is the factory of the world. If you want to export iron ore, apart from China, you can consider Japan, you can consider South Korea, you can consider Malaysia, Vietnam, you can consider Germany, you can consider even Egypt. But the largest demand, $22 billion, 60% of that is from China alone. Let's talk about the packaging of iron ore. Packaging iron ore product for export involves careful consideration of various factors to ensure the safe and efficient transportation of these valuable commodities. Now, it's usually done in bulk. You rarely see containerized item of iron ore. Most of the time it's in bulk. That means it's going to be in bulk carrier. Sometimes it's poured into the hold of the ship directly. You need to prevent contamination through external elements when you are doing this. It's also important you consider moisture in every mineral. In every mineral. And I keep repeating, moisture is something you have to look out for and minimize as much as possible. And the beauty of it is that that can be done with dryings. Dust suppression. Minimize dust generation during transport. Apply dust suppression measures such as water spraying during loading to minimize airborne dust. Choose transportation route and method that minimize exposure to windy conditions. It's so important for you to also ensure you comply with all the environmental considerations because of the nature of this particular product. Just like every other metals or minerals, it also requires its own documentation. Of course, commercial invoice as usual. Of course, packing list as usual. Of course, bill of lading as usual. Phytosign certificate is rarely used, but some country can ask for it. And of course, certificate of origin. Now, that is without prejudice to the local requirement for you. And by local requirement for you, I mean export declaration in Nigeria, you do export license or export certificate. It's without prejudice to that. Those are still going to be required as far as this is concerned. Let's round off with the pitfalls. Several common quality issues that may arise during extraction, processing and transportation and handling of iron ore. Mitigating this issue is essential to ensure that the exported iron ore meet the required specification. Again, and you will notice these issues in agri commodities, every commodity, because it's from the ground. Impurities and moisture. For agri, you will now have in addition mold growth that can now cause spoilage and decay. But you don't have mold growth and spoilage in minerals, but you have impurities. Impurities and moisture. If there's one thing you want to avoid as much as possible in your product, impurities and moisture. Be mindful of the size, the weight, the color, the shapes. But for this particular product, you need to crush again. Always remember, for almost all minerals, apart from precious metal, almost all minerals, crushing will be good for you. And when you are crushing, ensure that you crush to uniform size. When you crush to uniform size, it makes sampling and lab report to be consistent and reduce the issue you might have in that transaction. Thank you very much for stopping by. Thank you for all you've learned. As far as iron ore is concerned, we'll be discussing other metals subsequently in another video, and I'll be focusing on lead. Lead is a mineral I exported for many years, and I would like to talk about it in my next video. My name is Dilaim, but I'm an export doctor, and I'm signing out.